68 people were killed in Nepal and over 1,000 injured after a 7.3 magnitude quake hit the already devastated country. There were several major tremors that took place yesterday after that major quake, and the aftershocks continued as late as 3 a.m. Now, several houses collapsing. Here's a video from Namche Bazar. This is on the route to the Everest, and it's near the epicenter. You can see the panic as the earthquake struck, caught on the CCTV there. You can see the various CCTV screens and the people running as the earthquake struck, and those major tremors were felt. The tremors being felt all the way in India as well, across the north, where there were similar scenes of people rushing out. In Kathmandu as well, several buildings have collapsed as they were already weakened by the monster quake that had struck on the 25th of April, in which 8,000 people were killed. So you can see the type of terror and panic there. This is as the earthquake struck, and this is visuals from Namche Bazar, that is on the route to the Everest base camp, and this is where the epicenter of this latest quake was.
3 weeks back, a lot of the people who had actually left their homes because they were worried about aftershocks actually had started going back in. Well, they're back out now, and they're worried about aftershocks. Even last night, throughout the night, there have been aftershocks over there. In fact, late at night, there was a magnitude 4+ aftershock which took place. And as you can see behind me, these tents are where a lot of people believe that they are safest in staying in. And so Kathmandu, once again, is in many places a tent city. The big focus today for us are the rescues taking place. These are helicopter rescues being done by the Nepalese army, by the Indian forces, by multinational forces, where they're bringing in people from those parts which have been worst affected, Charikot, for example. And they are being distributed by Nepalese authorities over here to the various hospitals which are working. I was in one such hospital of the Indian army earlier on, where a lot of patients in very bad condition were brought in. I saw, among other things, a little baby being brought in with his mother. The mother was unconscious, but after a little period of time, she did seem to come around, and she did seem to listen to what the doctors had to say. The baby is absolutely okay, but this particular hospital expects upwards of 50 people. Now, by and large, the weather in the morning, it's clouding over as I speak now, but by and large in the morning, the weather was okay. It was holding, which is why a lot of these helicopter sorties did take place in terms of bringing people back over here. So it's rescues that are now very much the focus once again. 3 weeks back, Nepal had moved from rescues to relief, but you're back at step one now. It's rescues once again. Gargi.
Right, Vishnu, and also the involvement of foreign teams. A lot of relief teams were still there helping with the work. Rescue teams had moved out. If you could tell us about that. Absolutely. In India's involvement.
Yeah, so, and this is absolutely critical to mention, because we do not at any stage want to give the impression that it's only the Indian forces who are working over here. Of course, the Indian forces are working, they're doing yeoman service, but this is a multinational effort. There were Indian doctors, for example, interacting with Canadian medics today. They were sharing tips and techniques and getting a better idea of how best to deal with this situation. The Nepalese government is in charge of all the operations over here. They delegate a particular set of rescues to different forces. I think the air effort, where we see American aircraft, we see Indian aircraft, we see Nepalese aircraft, we see aircraft from other countries as well deploy, is a leading example of how this is a multinational effort where all of these countries are coming together. But as I said now, there was a sense that it was all about relief now, about getting in aid to Nepal, about finding a way in which Nepal would raise those $2 billion+ to try and rebuild places like parts of Kathmandu. But now it's back to square one. It's back to those rescues which are taking place. The priority once again is saving lives.